Hello everyone and welcome to TowerGate, day 45. It is April the 17th, 2017. It is Monday. Yes, it's a Monday. But we got some news for you here. Again, it's this drip, drip, drip. Most recently in the 24 hours, we had a story, again, The Guardian, which The Guardian is, and the Daily Mail are actually doing some pretty good reporting on this issue, and fairly good coverage, and so hats off to The Guardian and even the Daily Mail, our good buddy Piers Morgan. And so good job, you guys. They're doing some good work over there. This particular story, if those of you who have been watching my TowerGate videos know that from the very beginning of this thing, I've always suspected that John Brennan was probably the central scrutinizer of this entire plot to surveil Trump. And we're learning from a story that has appeared recently. I'm not sure when it was posted, but I stumbled onto it here in the last day or so, that John Brennan, in August of 2016, was engaged, and this is probably not the only time, this is just what we know for sure, and this leak came directly from this man, I believe his name's Hannigan, who was the head of the GCHQ, the British version of the NSA. It appears that Brennan, in August of 2016, was involved in an exchange of intelligence with the GCHQ. Remember, John Brennan was head of the CIA under Obama, a really, really nasty individual who really despised Trump. And so this shouldn't surprise us. But what's more interesting is that we're learning more about something, is that it appears that he had shared this intelligence with the Gang of Eight. Now, the Gang of Eight is a group of senators, which includes Marco Rubio in that. And, of course, the head guy there, and it appears that this is who he directly shared this intel with as a result of the exchange of intel with GCHQ. None other than Harry Reid. Now, this would explain the actions of Harry Reid in the last couple weeks before the vote in November. We understand that there, and I think someone's actually seen the letters. I haven't seen them or looked at them, but I don't think there's anyone denying them, including Harry Reid, that he sent a couple letters to the CIA and to other people in the intelligence community as well as the FBI, wanting them to really pursue this idea that Trump and people around him were colluding with Russians. And so Harry Reid, we now know why Harry Reid was making these requests in writing, actually. It's because he was receiving this intel being fed to him by John Brennan. So this raises a lot of questions. This raises a lot of questions. And does this mean at this point that the House Intelligence Committee should subpoena all of these people in the Gang of Eight, including Harry Reid, Marco Rubio, and others who would have been part of that Gang of Eight, who would have received this intelligence that was passed to them by Brennan, that was given to him in the exchange by the GCHQ? And oh, by the way, an exchange means that we were giving intel to the GCHQ, and they were giving the CIA intel. Now, what is exactly going on here? Well, this is nothing new. There are laws here in the United States that say that the intelligence communities cannot spy on someone without a FISA warrant or some sort of a warrant. The same is true in the UK. The UK cannot spy on their citizens without obtaining a warrant. So what the intelligence agencies, specifically the CIA, has done for many, many years, not the first time we've been down this road, what they would do is the CIA would say, well, it's illegal for us to spy on people without a warrant, but it's not illegal for the GCHQ to spy on people in America, American citizens, without a warrant. So we'll just go ahead and have the GCHQ do the spying, and then they can give us the information. In exchange for that, the GCHQ will say, well, there's some British citizens that we want to surveil, but we're not permitted to without a warrant, and we don't want them to know we're doing it. So how about you spy on these British citizens for us? So the CIA spies on, does intel, does surveillance on British citizens, and the British intelligence agency does the spying on the American citizens. This is how they get around it, and then they exchange that information. This is, of course, illegal. Very, very illegal. This has come up before. It's been dealt with before back in the church committee hearings, and it looks like it's revisited us again. So, should we expect to see the Gang of Eight brought into the House Intelligence Committee and ask about who shared, if in fact that intelligence was shared with them, that had been collected by the GCHQ, probably requested by Brennan under the guise, under the request of Obama? Because remember, these things do not happen without the President of the United States having some knowledge of it. If he's not the one requesting it, he is certainly getting the data that is coming from these types of operations. So we may have to bring Obama in and put him in front of the House Intelligence Committee and find out what he knew. So this thing is getting, again, when this thing came out about the GCHQ, I said this was going to open up many, many cans of worms, because now, and again, I said that for the British to come out and leak this, I know it was, they're trying to help the deep state here in the States and trying to help Obama, trying to pull his chestnuts out of the fire. But in doing so, they put their chestnuts under the fire. And so you're going to have now, in the UK, you're now going to have investigations going on in the UK as to what the GCHQ was doing with these exchanges. Because now that it's clear that there was an exchange happening, that means that British citizens are now going to say, wait a minute, so you had the Americans spying on British citizens? We want to know what's going on with that. So now what this has actually done, as I said, this would open up a whole bunch of cans of worms. So now you're going to have the British citizens wanting to know what their intel agency was doing, collecting information on British citizens that was given to them by the CIA. And they'll be asking the same questions. Who requested this? Who did you surveil? Why did you surveil? So I told you this thing was going to just, it's going to get way out of control. But I'll tell you what, this is very, very damning. And again, John Brennan is going to find himself in front of this House Intelligence Committee, and he's going to have some very tough questions to answer. So, you know, I just, it just, they've dug such a hole for themselves. I mean, you know, it's funny. Sun Tzu in The Art of War used to say, don't interrupt your enemy when he is making mistakes. And this certainly is a perfect example of the previous administration, the Obama administration, making a lot of mistakes. And they continue to make the mistakes. They're digging the hole deeper and deeper and deeper. And the Russian narrative has fallen away. As I said yesterday, what this thing is eventually going to boil down to is it's going to go to a much, much larger question than even just surveilling Donald Trump and people around him. It's going to go to a much larger question. These exchanges of intel, this is illegal. This is illegal. You're not allowed to, yes, we exchange information with the GCHQ and other countries, certainly other NATO countries and other countries, but you cannot do it the way it's being done. You know, you can exchange intel that's picked up through incidental collection or through just general intelligence collection, but you can't have one country go to another country and say, hey, spy on these people and let us know what you found, and then of course we'll spy on some of your citizens. And you know, you can't do that, especially if it's political. And everything in the world is pointing to the fact that this was a political operation being conducted by the Obama administration. I would have a very difficult time believing that Obama himself wasn't either ordering this. Certainly he was aware of it. It involves Susan Rice. We know she did the unmasking. We're going to be asking her who ordered her to do the unmasking. John Brennan is now going to be asked if he did any unmasking. We can assume he probably did. We can ask if he sought FISA warrants. We're going to take a look at the applications and find out what the cause was to get those warrants. They're going to be asking Brennan if, in fact, he was involved in these exchanges of information with the GCHQ, which is now being reported by The Guardian. And it looks like what's happening in the UK is this previous NSA head, Hannigan, appears to be the source. Mr. Hannigan is being thrown under the bus right now in the UK. He's going to be the guy who they're going to hang, put his head in the noose, and he's going to have to take the fall for it unless he decides to squeal on some other people around him and take down some larger fish. So again, this thing just continues to unravel. It's like pulling the thread on a wool sweater, and the whole thing just begins to unravel. And ultimately, the question is going to be for Brennan, for Rice, possibly they'll even call on Obama. It's hard to say, but the question to all these people is going to be the same. Who ordered the unmasking? We know it was done. Who ordered the exchange of intelligence? Who ordered all this stuff? Who's driving this train? Because it's pretty obvious that this stuff didn't happen as a means of just incidental collection, and it's pretty obvious that if in fact there was some real hardcore intelligence going on that showed any type of criminal wrongdoing or anything like that, they certainly would have come out with that information. It would have been brought to the forefront, and they never would have allowed Trump to take the oath of office if they had anything that they could use to show that there was a problem. And apparently they have nothing, because if they had it, they would have shown their hand by now. But they didn't plan on losing the election. But since they did, now they can't control the cover-up. And that's exactly what is going on now, as we've seen them go to one fallback position after another. But they've really hit the end of the road now. And using the GCHQ as their final fallback position is going to blow up on them. It's not going to work, especially we now know that there was not just because the last fallback position was, oh yeah, well the GCHQ was monitoring incidental communications and heard about Trump people talking with Russian agents, and therefore they had to get this information to the CIA to make sure they knew that this was going on, as if they wouldn't know. Okay, but now it doesn't appear that that's exactly what was going on. What actually it appears was going on was that there was a premeditated arrangement for the exchange, a plan, an operation for an exchange of intel. You give us your intel, we'll give you ours. You give us the dirt on our folks, we'll give you the dirt on your folks. This is not allowed, and it shows clearly that there was a political motivation. The only way that heads are not put into a noose is if the members on the House Intelligence Committee somehow are threatened or are told, hey, you know, the intelligence agencies are too big to fail. This could bring down the government. This could destroy confidence in the intelligence agencies and law enforcement agencies like the FBI, the Department of Justice. So these people are too big to fail. So you guys are just gonna have to suck it up. We're gonna have to put on a good show, but at the end of the day, we're gonna have to let this thing just go away. It'll be interesting to see if they can get Trey Gowdy and some of these other people on the House Intelligence Committee to swallow that deal. It'll be a very, very tough swallow for some of these guys if they do it. But this is typically what happens. It's the too big to fail theory. And this is the final fallback position. Yeah, we're guilty as hell. We tried everything, but damn it, the evidence is just overwhelming. We're guilty as hell, but hey, we're too big to fail. We can't disclose the truth in this issue, on this matter, because if we do, people will lose confidence in our intelligence agencies, will lose confidence in the government, blah 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 blah. This is man, we've been down this road so many times. So anyhow, that is probably the most important thing that we learned today, is that this information that was given to the CIA by the GCHQ, whether or not they can prove it was requested by Obama, requested by Brennan or not, at this point, if it involved an exchange, that's a whole different state of affairs. And the fact that we learned that the Gang of Eight would have also received this intel. So this particular group of people in the Senate, these 8 senators, this Gang of 8, they know all about this. So they've been sitting back, keeping their mouths shut. Some of them probably are even, in fact, are on the some of these people in the Gang of 8 are actually on the Senate Intelligence Committee that are part of conducting the hearings. They should immediately resign from that committee. How can they possibly be sitting on the committee trying to pretend, like Lindsey Graham and John McCain, that they're trying to get to the bottom of all this, when in fact they were given this intel back in August of 2016 by Brennan, or it was given to Harry Reid and then disseminated through the other 7 members. So here's some more questions that brings up. Did these guys have the clearances to even see this type of intel? Because certainly on the Senate Intelligence Committee, they look at intel all the time, and they do have certain types of clearances. But when you get these FISA warrants for this type of intelligence, I think that's a different level of intelligence. It's intelligence for certain people's eyes only, for only those who need to know. This intelligence, if it was shared with this Gang of 8, which it appears it was, then we need to know why they had a need to know, and why in the hell has one of these Gang of 8 come forward, which would include McCain and Graham. Why haven't they come forward and said, hey, we saw this intelligence back in August when it was passed to us through Harry Reid or through John Brennan? They're sitting back playing dumb, when in fact they're not dumb at all. They knew this was all going on. Republicans, Lindsey Graham and John McCain especially, and Marco Rubio, who obviously was running against Trump. McCain and Graham, who wanted to see Trump defeated, probably voted for Hillary. My friends, this thing, the swamp is getting deeper and deeper. The plumbing is erupting. There's leaks and drips, and my God, this thing's getting uglier and uglier all the time. Man, if these are legitimate hearings and it's not a dog and pony show, and they don't try to run another cover-up like they always do, if they actually ask real questions, if they actually do attempt to get to the bottom of this, I'm telling you, man, this thing is way, way bigger than anything Nixon did in Watergate or the people around him. This is monumental. This involves not just the American intelligence agency, the entire law enforcement agency, the previous administration, the media is involved, certain members of Congress now obviously involved, including Republicans, but entire intelligence community internationally, other intelligence agencies, all having this information. My oh my. Day 45, TowerGate, April 17, 2017, Monday. That'll wrap it up for today. And boy, we'll see where this thing goes. In about another 8 or 10 days, the hearings will resume. And at that point, folks, I got to tell you, we're going to watch these hearings very closely. And I'm telling you, I'm going to watch these hearings very closely. And if it looks like these guys are rolling over or playing a game, and it looks like they're going to put on a dog and pony show, we need to get on the telephones. We need to get in the email. We need to call our members of Congress, especially those of you who have people sitting on these committees who are asking these questions. We need to make sure they do not run a game on us again. We need to lean hard on them. Hard. Let's not get played again, folks. Let's not get played again. We'll stay on it. You guys be safe. Oh, thank you again for my subscribers. I appreciate each and every one of you. And for commenting, I love it when you comment on the videos. I love the discussion in the comment section. I've been battling keyboard warrior progressives now for the past 5 days, and it's some very heated exchanges. But we do battle every day anyway, right? So you guys hang in there, stay safe, and we'll be back tomorrow. We'll be back tomorrow. Thank you.